Hello. It is time for UBL Season 2. So, the draft has happened. Technically the grace period window is still open. However, after contemplating my life at work, I have decided I am not thinking about it anymore, okay? I'm going to bed once this has been recorded. So, UBL Season 2. First, a couple of things to note, because there were a few changes from last season. First of all, there are now two divisions. This video is either going up before or after there is an update video, talking about what's coming up for the channel, on videos and things like that. But basically, there's a minors league and a majors league. The minors league are newer players or players who may not have done as well, just to split things up, because then the Majors League, which I am in, has some of the more experienced players, all the players who did better in the last season. So, I shouldn't say worse, I should say lesser good, because they are good players in their own right, it's just they didn't do it as well. So some of the people who were in the last season, as well as a lot of newer players, are in the minor league, whereas people who seem to have a good understanding of draft leagues and VGC are in the Majors League. So, again, I was kind of hoping that I wouldn't be in the Majors, but I feel like everyone would riot if I wasn't. So, here we are. Another thing to note is that, I actually made the tier list, actually. Airstream, the owner, originally started making it, and then I had, an entire night where I just basically made most of it. And then we kind of adjusted some things, and after a little bit, we also decided we should introduce a new format for the draft. So, last season we had a Mega, a Tier 1, a Tier 2, 2 Tier 3s, 2 Tier 4s, a Tier 5, and then 400 points for free picks. Kind of the standard 180, 120, 100, 60, 40 ratio. This time we decided we should drop one of the tier 4s so that everyone has the ability to get one restricted Pokemon in the quote-unquote restricted tier. The restricted tier is for the stronger of the restricted Pokemon. So not every restricted Pokemon is there. Things like regular Kyurem and Zygarde 10%, they are in the lower tiers, but these strong, they're considered strong. Excuse me. They're considered strong restricted Pokemon, which I think were 12 in total, were in that tier. You could grab another one if you wanted with your 3 points, but they costed 200, which basically meant if you wanted to be efficient, you could get a restricted Pokemon with your 3 points. But then, if you want to be efficient, you can only get a Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5. Or you could get 3 Tier 4s. But then you still have 20 points left over. So, you could leave points, but you still had to get the full 11. So, so that changed some things. So yeah. I think those are all the changes. Like I say, I kind of took a major part in making this tier list, so it's not going to be as unbalanced as it was before. Also, people, because it's a Majors League, people kind of know what they're doing a bit more. So, yeah. So, let's talk about what happened. So, I was 5th, which honestly is, the worst position. 5 out of 8 is honestly, my least favorite. I would have taken, 6 would have been better, because then it was easier to kind of, pick up pairs. 5 is in the middle, but it's the later middle, which just makes it awful for, first picks. So, I can tell you exactly what the first 4 picks were. They were in order: Kyogre, Lunala, Incineroar, Mega Salamence. So I immediately put, really guys, you're just tearing apart my last season draft immediately? It's just yeah, because it was good. I was yeah, that's fair enough. So I had a plan going into this, and they didn't need any of those, any of the big 3, obviously Lunala, Kyogre, and Incineroar were the carries last season. And they didn't need any of them, but some of them, they would have been nice to get again. But I didn't count on getting any of them. I didn't count on getting any Pokemon from last season, actually. So, yeah. but I had a core in mind that I wanted to get, but it was whether I would get it or not. However, I realized something that I should probably take note of, and that was in the restricted tier. Because I knew some of the Pokemon I was going for. I was like, in the restricted tier, since I know what I want in the future, there is still one really, really good restricted Pokemon that I can grab that really helps this team and has proven how good it is. Because it may not have been on the winning team, but it was on second place. And that is Dialga. So Dialga, you see its stats here, okay? Its stats are incredible. It's got great bulk overall, like better in the defense, but it's still great overall. Dialga has really nice coverage, like really nice, from the Dual Stab to Aura Sphere with Ice Beam, Blizzard, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, I think T-Bot as well, yeah, T-Bot Thunder, as well as pretty decent physical coverage as well. I don't really know what over, I don't think it gets great supporting moves, unfortunately. But I wouldn't really want Dialga any other way. It is an offensive force to be reckoned with. It gets Trick Room? I didn't know that. Hell yeah. We can use Trick Room Dialga. Wasn't ever my intention. But there we go. We have Trick Room on Dialga as well. So yeah, Dialga is just great. Farrat used it to incredible effect last season. And one of the reasons why they did so well, because the special offense on Dialga is incredible, and it's something that has to be respected. Steel Dragon is an incredible typing. It's only weak to fighting and ground. And its coverage, along with an incredible Dual Stab, makes this a force to be reckoned with. And I thought, yeah, as much as I want to start building my core, because one of the Pokemon was very likely to go early, I couldn't pass up Dialga. Oh yeah, Earth Power as well. So yeah, this was a pick that I was like, yeah, as much as I like, this will go. So if I don't take it now, so yeah, that was pick 1. Pick 2, I was a little worried because people were talking about, oh yeah, like there's certain Pokemon that I kind of want. I forget exactly what was said. I think someone just literally asked, are you after a certain fast electric type? And I was like, no. And then no one grabbed it. So pick 2 was TapuCoco. I wanted TapuCoco so much this time. If you want to just ask what TapuCoco does, I'd say, oh, can TapuCoco do this? I will just say yes. There are very few things that TapuCoco cannot do. In singles, it's considered one of the best Pokemon for Draft League due to its versatility. And in doubles, it's no different. Arguably, it's better. Do you want this thing to be a physical attacker? Cool. Special attacker? Cool. Just a speedy pivot? Cool. Great support options? Cool. It does it all. Coco does everything. There's a reason why this Pokemon has won two World Championships the 3 of the years it was legal. It won in 2017 and 2018. Due to its incredible coverage and the fact that it's so fast means it's super hard to pin down. There's only, in my opinion, with TapuCoco, if you look at a TapuCoco, there's only one move you can guarantee will be on any TapuCoco set, and everything else is a complete mind game. And the only move I can say you can guarantee see on any TapuCoco set is Volt Switch. That is it. You cannot predict anything else on a TapuCoco. Will they go D-Gleam? Will they go Discharge for more spread damage? Will they go T-Bolt? Will they go Wild Charge? Will they go U-Turn? Will they go Taunt? Will they go Bulky with Roost? Will they go Nature's Madness? Try to spread status around, even Calm Mind, Screens, Skydrop, Electro Web. The thing does it all. It's an incredible Pokemon. And it also lets me participate in Terrain Wars, which I did want to do, because people were actually going to pick the Tapus this time, because this was a tier 1 pick. TapuCoco does it all, and I am, like, this is a theme for this team. But the versatility on this team is incredible, and it starts with TapuCoco, because TapuCoco is an incredibly versatile Pokemon. So, I'm very much looking forward to using TapuCoco. Then I wanted to pick up the second part of the core. This could have been Incineroar, but Incineroar was a tier 1 this time, and I was not even, I was kind of considering it, but I was like, if it goes, it's not the end of the world, because as I've said every single time, if Incineroar goes, you bet I'm okay with taking Arcanine instead. Arcanine's a great Pokemon. Every time Incineroar has not been legal, Arcanine has picked up its place. For being a defensive Intimidate Fire type. And even then, when in 2020, when Incineroar was legal, and it was like 3rd or 2nd most used, Arcanine still had good usage. It was still in the top 30, and that's because of one thing and one thing alone, and that's that speed. 95 is a lot higher than 60. It means it can utilize moves like Snarl and Will-O-Wisp a lot better than Incineroar can. Obviously, you lose out on Fake Out Pressure and U-Turn and pivoting, but you get access to a higher speed to utilize Will-O-Wisp and Snarl. You get healing, and you get E-Speed in return. And you lose the Dark typing. That's a fair trade-off in my opinion, and I think unlike Incineroar, where I was very scared to go offensive with it, or at least pure offense, Arcanine's a Pokemon I am very much more willing to go offensive with. So, I think, like, Incineroar is better, like, as a defensive piece, but Arcanine can do both just as well as each other. So, yeah, and I just genuinely like Arcanine way more. Like, Incineroar's a good Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but I just like Arcanine as a Pokemon more. I've loved it for years, so, and I like Dialga too. There's actually a lot of Pokemon this season that I just genuinely like too, so that also is kind of nice. But yeah, it's also, like, can go either. It can go physical or special because of Heat Wave. And TapuCoco, again, can go physical or special. You can run Brave Bird and False from Wild Charge and stuff like that, so yeah. Anyway, third pick, and the pick that I think is the kind of molding of this team. TapuCoco is super versatile and can pivot in and out to get a lot of chip damage. Arcanine is a great supporting piece or offensive piece, depending on what the team needs. And then this team needed speed control, and Lunala was gone. But I chose something that I don't think maybe have even been picked otherwise. But I grabbed Lugia. I'm very much excited to see how Lugia performs, because no one ever uses Lugia. Lugia was a tier 2 restricted Pokemon. One of the lower tier restricteds. But it does get multi-scale. I can validate here, and it's just going to tell me Dialga has no moves, TapuCoco has no moves, and I have EVs. But it doesn't say anything with Lugia about multi-scale. Multi-scale is legal. Which means if you want something defensive, say hi to Lugia. Other than Crest, this is one of the bulkiest Pokemon that exists. And with multi-scale, which is Shadow Shield, it's the same thing. It's just as bulky. Downside, it doesn't get Trick Room, unlike Lunala. But what it does get is, in my opinion, a better defensive typing. People can't just tech Shadow Ball and Dark Pulse onto Pokemon just to try and kill Lunala. Whereas Lugia, it's just like, cool, you're going to hit things for 2 times, but never 4 times. And because it gets Tailwind, this is part of the speed control of the team. There's Trick Room Dialga, and there is another Trick Roomer coming up that is more of the main Trick Roomer, but yeah. The Pokemon is very good at being it's known in Pokemon as the Great Wall for a reason. It just doesn't die. And with the ability to set up things up like Tailwind and Screens, and it's not got bad offenses either. 1990 is not bad either. And it's 110 speed, which I think is one of the most surprising things about Lugia. You wouldn't think, looking at Lugia, that it's that fast. But it actually comes in as the 3rd fastest Pokemon on this team. Just because it's just naturally so fast. Whether it actually runs that much speed, but having that is another question. But having that naturally high speed is really nice. So, Whether Lugia comes in clutch or not is another question. But honestly, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Lugia does as like the defensive piece, the supportive piece of the team. Like, a lot of things can go either or. And Lugia technically can go offensive, but if you want to just say the defensive Pokemon on the team, it's Lugia. And I'm really hoping that Lugia, like, shines through. As well as me loving Lugia. Forgot I was supposed to put the things in here. So, we got our core. The core that I did want was TapuCoco, Arcanine, Lugia. That was the core that I was going for. At this point, I also realized I didn't have a Mega. And I think at the time, the only Megas that were gone were, like, Mega Gengar and Mega Salamence. And I think, Mega Mawile. Those were the 3 Megas that were gone. And I was like, well, I should probably at least make sure I get a good Mega. I was very much considering Charizard X, and I thought about it as like, I've got a Dragon and a Fire already, and if I use Zardex, I'm going to use a defensive like 90% of the time, because I love defensive Zardex. So, I was like, well, what's left? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Pokemon, but it's at least more tolerable than it is in Gen 6, and maybe it'll do me some good. It's Mega Kangaskhan. Mega Kangaskhan's... It's Mega Kangaskhan, come on now. Mega Kangaskhan is an insane Pokemon. It just is. In Gen 6, it dominated the entire, like, 3 years of X and Y / ORAS. Because Parental Bond was 0.5 times extra damage, as well as having access to Power Up Punch, which was dumb. But in Gen 7, it's not nearly as bad, and it's not nearly used as much. Main upsides to Kang are just, like... It gets... the main thing is, it still gets Fake Out. That's like, the main thing. It is super bulky, like, it's really, really bulky. But Parental Bond still essentially gives you a Life Orb boost. That's not a thing to scoff at, and with things like Double Edge, or, like, Return... It's not bad. Sucker Punch 2, and it gets great. It gets pretty good support moves. I don't know exactly what support moves it gets. I will double check if is Helping Hand legal. I see nothing about it. Cool, Helping Hand is legal, but I feel like Helping Hand is not the best move to use on Kang. Because like if you got 2 Helping Hands off, then maybe like double Icy Wind is like that's legit. Like, that's a double drop in speed. That's the thing with Mega Kang, is you can use it for the double effect. So things like, Rock Slide, you can double Flint. You have, like, a 60% chance. It's essentially like, you get a Life Orb boost, as well as a Serene Grace boost. And you kill things that are on Sash. Like, that's what it is. So, it's a very, very good Pokemon. Also, it doesn't get Seismic Toss, because that's an old tutor move. So, yeah. Like, I am very... Like, I'm not the most happy that I'm using Megakang. Because, just, it's Gen 6 kind of scars me. But at the same time, it's so good. And this was, out of all things, this was the first Pokemon that people were like, oh no. Like, Dialga, people were like, okay, yes, Dialga. People aren't really afraid. Like, the rest of these, like, they're not massive offensive threats. But Kang absolutely can be, and it can tear apart a team that isn't ready for it. It's super bulky, too. 105, 100, 100 is insane. The Pokemon's disgusting. So, yeah. What are Kang's regular? Oh, like, Scrappy. Right, regular Kang is Scrappy, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah. That is our 5th pick. And this is where things get interesting. And I think every other league that I've done, UBL Season 1, GSC, and RDL, I have made at most, like, 1 change in the grace period. This time I made a lot. Because I really wasn't happy with the original team. So, yeah, that's why this video is going to be a little bit out of structure, but yeah. Do forgive me for that. But I wanted to still go in draft order. So, after this, we got... I was like, okay, I want a tier 1 it is one of my frees. Because I've got my restrictor, I've got my tier 1, got my tier 2, used 120 points on Lugia, and then got my Mega. I'm probably going to go for a tier 1, and then get my tier 4 and tier 5 as free picks. So I looked at the remaining tier 1s, and not that much was that appealing, to be honest. But I thought, if there's one Pokemon I'm going to pick from here, it's going to be... Tyranitar. Tyranitar, the original reason for picking it anyway, was the plan was to get it alongside Dusclops, and use Bulldoze Weakness Spalsing. Spoilers, Dusclops got sniped. So I ended up dropping Tyranitar for a tier 2 instead. And that tier 2 is Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr, the original idea with Tyranitar was to use it in Trick Room. Conkeldurr is a way better Pokemon to be using in Trick Room. That massive 140 attack stat, as well as the low speed, makes this a way better Pokemon to be using in Trick Room. The Pokemon kind of fell off a little bit in later years, due to the introduction of Fairy types, but before Fairy types and back in Gen 5, the thing was a monster. You were scared to, like, status it due to Guts, and then Iron Fist was a thing, and, like, yeah. Like, the thing is a massive monster, and its physical bulk isn't bad either. The Pokemon was actually decently common at the start of VGC 2020 as well, just because it was a really good Trick Room Pokemon. It was a good answer to Tyranitar, who was pretty common too. So, Conkeldurr is a pretty good Pokemon. Like, we can just kind of see the coverage on it. Like, this is one of the Pokemon that's, like, kind of a like, dedicated offense Pokemon. But, like, you can't, like, it might be slow, but it's also a Pokemon that isn't really afraid to fight outside of Trick Room. If you kind of deal with the special attackers, like, Life Orb Iron Fist Hammer Arm does a ton of damage. Does it not get Bullet Punch? I thought it did. It's just Mark Punch then. That's still really good. I'm also sure, I guess, like, it gets Poison Jab for berries, that's it. But yeah, the Pokemon is really, really good. It's a physical powerhouse, and something that teams are going to have to be fearful of if they want to play for Trick Room. And I can absolutely play for Trick Room myself because of Conkeldurr. It's not the slowest thing on the planet. 45 is a little fast. But it's also just something scary enough that people have to at least be careful of it in Trick Room. So, that is Conkeldurr. So after that, was Pick 7. And Pick 7 is an interesting one because it was the most recent change. Originally, I had Rotom Wash. The original idea for Rotom Wash was because I wanted an electric type, but I also didn't want an electric type that was weak to ground. Unfortunately, if it means it's not weak to ground, that means it's floating and isn't affected by electric terrain. And something that kind of is an unfortunate case for this team is there is a lot of ground weaknesses. That is the main flaw of the team, which I do try to patch up. Rotom was definitely interesting, but I also kind of needed more physical attackers. This was the last kind of transaction the last grace period trade that I made. To drop Rotom, that was tier 3. And looking at my team, I needed a bulky physical Pokemon. And I didn't really, at the time I didn't really care about speed, but the fact that this thing's speed lines up so perfectly is really, really nice. And it's also a Pokemon I really, really like. It's a Pokemon I like so much, I'm now using it in 2 different leagues. So welcome back, Serena. Serena is honestly good, so the thing about Serena is it was used a little bit in 2017 from my understanding. It's a pretty, so we use it in singles as a bulky offensive piece, and it's not that much different in doubles, to be honest. Serena's a pretty bulky offensive piece. With pretty solid coverage, with high jump kick. One of the main things as well is I, for some reason, was very fixated on trying to get a second fighting type for some reason. I was like going between like Blaziken, Terrakion, and even Sizzle. I really wanted another fighting move for some reason. And Serena has that. It's got High Jump Kick. It's got Power Whip. It can pivot. It gets a lot of nice coverage. But really, the main thing with it is it's some pretty good. It gets a pretty decent supportive move pool. It gets Helping Hand, which is pretty nice. Low Sweep, not bad. Yo, Warrior Suit? But yeah, the main thing with Serena is its ability, Queenly Majesty. In singles, it's not as big of a deal. In doubles, this basically says, no fake out pressure. No. It just stops all priority moves from your side. It stops priority moves while... It stops priority moves affecting your team while on the field. So it means no fake out pressure. It means no random priority moves trying to pick up knockouts. As long as you have this thing on the field, it itself is already supporting the team. And base 72 speed is actually a really nice speed tier for this team, because it means that I actually have a Pokemon in the 70s that I didn't actually have before. So that's quite nice. Serena often will be a kind of a bulky Pokemon, but it can definitely go fast, it can go supportive, it can do a lot of different things. It's a little limiting, but at the same time, the fact that we have the option to just be like, no fake out, it's not happening. So, I'm very much looking forward to having Serena on the team, and using it in a second time, so yeah. Welcome back, Serena. It's nice to see you again from the GSC. So, the next pick was pick 8, which was something I kind of left with someone and was hoping to get it. And that was, I was like, okay, well, we didn't get Dusclops. Got to remember that I still wanted, like, the T-Tar thing, was like, I wanted to make sure I had a Trick Room poke, and I forgot that Dialga actually gets Trick Room. But a dedicated Trick Room Pokemon that can be supportive would be quite nice, and especially since we dropped Rotom Wash, and one of the reasons why I was okay with doing so is because we did have a Water type. We had Jellicent. Jellicent's really nice. It's a great supportive piece, and does get Trick Room. Water Absorb, obviously great ability, so is Cursed Body. And I think it's a lot of really nice supporting moves. I mean, basically, like, it gets Trick Room, it gets Taunt, it gets Will-O-Wisp, it gets Water Spout, so I am telling you right now, there will be a week in which I run this thing Scarfed with Rain support, and try and emulate a Kyogre. I'm letting people know that is going to come one week. When that week will come, you will never know, but I will try it. But yeah, it gets a lot of really nice support. Icy Wind as well, though if I'm using it in Trick Room, probably not. But yeah, it's a really nice bulky support piece that says Trick Room. I don't really know what to say. It's going to take a lot of hits. It's going to deal some nice water damage. Jelly is just good. Jelly is just a really solid Pokemon. And I'm not going to complain at having it. It's a really, really solid Trick Roomer. So, with the right support, it can do a lot. And it will actually deal damage, unlike some Trick Room Pokemon. It's not the easiest thing to take down either. So, I don't know. I quite like Jelly. Big old Pringles man over here. So yeah. No, I don't think there's really much else to say. It's the Trick Roomer of the team. The Trick Roomer. Though Dialga could definitely do it if I wanted it to. So we already have a Fire, Water, and Grass at this point, but at the time I didn't have a Fire, Water, Grass. And I decided I want to get, like, people were starting to pick their tier 5s at this point. Serena and Jellicent are both tier 3s. So I wanted to go into tier 5 and see what was in there before people started taking all of the really good ones. And I saw one Pokemon was still in there, and I was like, you know what? I should grab this now, because it's a very, very good Pokemon. So, yeah, let's just grab it now. And that is, if I can type it in, Tangela. Tangela was a tier 5 pick. I mean, do I need to say a lot here? No? Okay, cool. Let me explain what Tangela does, alright? You see Tangrowth? It does it, but it's little. And it's faster for some reason. It does it... It's mini Tangrowth. What does Tangrowth do? It Rage Powders, and it Sleep Powders. A little, I'd say, synergy with Coco, obviously, but it's not dedicated to sleeping. It's more so dedicated to Rage Powdering. But also, like, it will hit hard with, like, Leaf Storms with 100 special attack. So yeah, like, it doesn't need much more, like, honestly. It's a Rage Powder machine, it's our redirector. One of the more linear Pokemon, but it's also a tier 5 that redirects and actually can deal damage. I'm not going to complain at that. And even then, with an Eviolite, it can actually take, like, decent hits. So, I wouldn't sleep on Tangler, and it's also something that people have to prepare for now. Also makes me have more ground resists, which I think you will see soon why that is important. So, so that was pick 9. So yeah, that leaves us with our last 3 picks, right? This is 4. There's 9? Yeah, that's 9. So yeah, last 3 picks, 10, 11, 12. So, this Pokemon, pick 10, we needed a tier 4. This is also the last Pokemon that we don't have to talk about transactions with. At the time, I looked at it and said, I need a poison type. And this is a pretty good one, especially in Trick Room. Now I kind of look at it and say, this is my dark type of the team, and that is Alolan Muk. From my understanding, I believe Alolan Muk was actually decent in 2017. Due to, obviously, everyone was using all the Tapus because they were new and they were very good. But as a result of this, Alolan Muk, like, it has the poison typing to hit all 4 Tapus, and is not weak to any of them, because its only weakness is, its only weakness is ground. So it means that Lele wasn't hitting it with its Psychic. Bulu was not doing much with grass. So and then Coco and Finny were doing neutral with water and electric respectively, but I mean Finny used fairy, let's be real. With Muk, Gluttony is really nice for it. Gluttony is really nice because of the super berries, the Figgy Berry and such, as well as having some really nice coverage and actually pretty decent utility from what I remember. I mean, Taunt's nice, but it's a little slow to be taunting. Okay, maybe it's not as good. Does it get Snarl? Yeah, it does get Snarl. That's not bad. But the main thing is, this is a secondary Trick Room sweeper. Combined with Conk, the two of them can actually deal with Trick Room pretty well, because Conk is mainly weak to Psychic and Flying, and Muk is weak to Ground. So, especially if Conk doesn't want to deal with Psychic type in Trick Room, Muk deals with it just nice. It just well. Just does a good job. So, I'm happy with Muk as a tier 4 pick. There weren't that many tier 4s I were a fan of. So, making it so I did have a decent tier 4 pick is quite nice. So, expect this to be a very solid Trick Room poke, or I guess if Rock Polish is actually legal, I might try Rock Polish. It might be very dumb, but yeah. I'm happy with Muk. There's not much more to say. It's a brute force offense Pokemon. A lot of the later Pokemon are pretty linear in what they do. Some of them anyway. So next one, we need to talk about transactions again, because originally this was Persimmon. Originally Persimmon was on the team because I needed a fighting type. This is no longer the case because we have Conkeldurr, so I swapped it out for. At this point, I also realized I was gonna have all the main types that I wanted. The only type maybe I wouldn't have minded had was Rock, but I was like, I'm not gonna lose sleep over not having a Rock type. So instead, we made sure to help with the ground thing and get Norvin. So Norvin is very, very fast. When I was talking about Coco and Lugia and talking about how Lugia was the third fastest Pokemon on the team, Norvin's the second. It's 1 point faster than Greninja for reference, so that's kind of what speed you're looking at. Brisk is a great ability for draft, because it means you can see opponents' items, and just, it means you know what to you got a better idea on what to expect. Norvin's a really, really nice Pokemon. It's not going to be dealing the best damage, but also can pivot, and actually is a nice, I believe it's a fast Taunter. right? Yeah, it's got fast taunt. Oh yeah, it is another Tailwinder. I forgot about Norvin getting Tailwind. So it's another Tailwind user. If I want to use this as a lead-off, just like taunt Tailwind kind of thing, it absolutely can do that. It also obviously can U-turn, as well as firing off powerful Dracos and Hurricanes, as well as pretty decent coverage with, like, you know, fire. And, like, Shadow Ball, I think. Right? Shadow Ball? Yeah. Does it get, like, any other decent support moves that I'm not, like, thinking about? Screech is kind of cool, I guess. But yeah, for the most part, this is going to be a fast taunt, maybe Tailwind user. There's going to be trying to punch holes in teams. Let's be real. Norvin also helps cover up the ground weakness a little bit. Because, yeah, we're a bit weak to ground. I didn't want too many flying types, but yeah. I expect Norvin will do just fine. Whether it'll come to many matches or not is another question, but having that fast taunt option is never a bad thing. Also, it gets Super Fang. That's really nice. That means it can actually just go pure support. Like, it can actually go, like, Taunt, Tailwind. Where is it? Taunt. It could actually, like, we could actually see, like, a set, like, Super Fang and U-turn. We could actually see, like, this is a possible set. Like, this would not be out of the question for Norvin. But also, it could absolutely just be life or pure offense. So, like, don't expect me to be just running this. Like, I can easily see this thing just going like, I'm just gonna click the Draco button and see what happens. But yeah, that's Norvin. So that was pick 11. And then last but not least, originally we had Sandslash, regular old Sandslash, because we had T-Tar. So I was like, okay, yeah. We'll use this as a Sandsword sweeper. But then we were like, well, we're going to get rid of T-Tar. But getting rid of T-Tar, dropping a tier 1 for a tier 2, meant we actually got an extra 60 points. Which means we didn't have to take Sandslash, who was a tier 5, and have to use two tier 5s. Instead, we were able to pick up an extra tier 3. Now, the original plan was Nidoqueen. However, I had to go to work, so instead of making transactions, I instead, you know, made sure I wasn't late for my bus and went to work. And then once I actually got to work, I tried to make the transaction, and someone, between me going to work and me getting to work, between me leaving work and getting to work, someone had made the transaction to get Nidoqueen. I was like, you've got to be joking me. But no one did have the king, so here we are. We have Nidoking instead. I obviously prefer Nidoqueen after last time. It was this is the closest to having a Pokemon as the same as last time, because I wanted Nidoqueen, but here we are. We've got Nidoking instead. I mean, if you guys remember how I used Nidoqueen last time, it's not going to be much different here. Like, you look at, like, if we look at Nidoqueen and Nidoking stats, like, the defenses are, like, you take the 9 points from HP. Actually, wait, no. You take 9 points from HP and put them in speed, and then take 10 points from each defense and put them into the respective offense instead. So it means it's a bit more of a faster offensive Pokemon, but don't be fooled, I will make this thing bulky if I need to. So yeah, Nidoking I'll be interested to see if this is better overall than Nidoqueen. I know Nidoqueen is preferred, but I'm not gonna sleep on the Nidoking either. I kind of used it as their kill leader last season, so I'm not gonna sleep on the king just yet. I'm also interested in. I mean, I presume like Nidoqueen, I presume Nidoking is very similar in the support options, things like Icy Wind and what have you. I believe their move pool is extremely similar. I doubt very much is going to change, but it's still nice to look at. But yeah, it's beat up. Interesting. Interesting. Anyway, I'll have to see if that works out. But yeah, So, that is the draft overall. One thing like I say, I'm happy about is, look at these speeds over here. Doesn't that look so nice? So we've got Conk and Muk in the, like, 45 to 50, so they are Trick Room Pokemon. We've got 2 Pokemon base 60, in both Jellicent and Tangela. We've got Serena at 72, Nidoking at 85, Dialga at 90, Arcanine at 95, Megakangaskhan at 100, Lugia at 110, Norvin at 123, and Coco at 130, meaning it's actually kind of like the speeds are very much close together. So you've got to think about what you're trying to speed up here, or like speed creep. Also means since like most other than like Pokemon that are going to be functioning Trick Room and Pokemon that don't really run speed anyway, a lot of Pokemon really function well in Tailwind, but there's also dedicated Trick Room Pokemon, and I think some Pokemon can work in Trick Room just as well. Things like Serena, and even Nidoking, I could argue. I could make a case for Nidoking for working in Trick Room. I've used Nidoqueen in Trick Room, and I will certainly give Nidoking a go. As well as this team has really good speed, just across the board, and its versatility is incredible. 6 of the Pokemon on this team, I would argue, can do a both supportive or offensive role. That being Coco, that being Arcanine, that being Lugia, that being Megakangaskhan. Actually, wait, no, I guess Norvin and Serena. Like, all 6 of those can do support or offense. You've got a few Pokemon that are kind of dedicated offense, things like Conkeldurr, Muk, Lola, Nidoking, and Dialga. Those are kind of like pure offense, and then like you got 2 dedicated supports in Jellicent and Tangela. Like, those are pure support. But it's not like they can't even deal damage either. A lot of this team's strength is a versatility in types and versatility in what the Pokemon can do. There's nothing outstanding about this team, I would say. I think there are threats that people have to consider, because it's not like this team is passive. This team doesn't lean hyper offense or super defense. It can tailor the team to each matchup, and that's what I like. Last season, it was a lot of, I'm going to just use Lunala, Kyogre, and Incineroar, and just, like, try and win the game. This season, it's a lot more harder to predict what's going to be brought, and even if you can predict the exact 6 Pokemon I want to bring, it's going to be very difficult to predict how each Pokemon is run. The same 6 Pokemon can be run very differently, depending on which 6 are brought. So, yeah, that's the advantage of this team, and I really, really like that. So, this team also, like I say, it covers 15 of the 18 types. The only types it doesn't cover are Bug, Ice, and Rock. Rock, I'm not going to lose. Like, Bug, I'm not bothered about. The only Bug type I was even considering was, like, Sizzle. Ice, I've never been a fan of many Ice types at all. And then Rock, obviously we had T-Tart, and I was considering Terrakion at one point over Serena, but I was like, nah, I'll just take the bulky... Like, I didn't want a 108 and a 110 speed, and I also just felt like the bulky support of Serena could be really nice for this team as well. So yeah. It's a very diverse and rounded team that I quite like. There's nothing I think exceptional, but I think what it does is just, it's unpredictable. It's hard to say what's right to bring and what's right to prepare for, because you could just be wrong in what you're prepping for. So, and has a lot of versatility in what it can do. So. But yeah, that will about do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Do look forward to it, so yeah. For now, take it easy, everyone.